Hi, Padma, and welcome to this show. This is called the About Her Show.
Hi.
And hi, this is about women achievers, women who have made a success of their lives in terms of following their dreams and passions. So here we get them to talk about all of that. We call them women achievers. And we want them to share the journey of their lives, to tell us about their ups and downs, challenges, successes, all of that, so that the listeners can take inspiration from that, because a lot of women want to do stuff, but there are various things which hold them back. So we want them to get inspired and motivated and, step out of or get out of whatever is holding them back and realize their potential. And of course, eventually, we want to build a community of women who are there to support, empower, and mentor each other, be there for each other. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you for this great opportunity.
So,
Very, very dear to my heart as well. So happy to be here, happy to contribute in whatever way I can.
thank you so much. So let's dive in and tell us a little bit about your childhood and early life and how those experiences they influenced your life path or whatever you're doing today.
Absolutely. So I come from a very progressive minded family.
Mm,
Both my parents were entrepreneurial in spirit. My mom was a very, very strong woman, raised us to be strong kids.
mm-hmm,
She would always tell us, if you fall down, pick yourself up, dust yourself, and keep walking because that resilience is going to hold you good.
yeah.
One of my that is one of my favorite things today to impart to my kids as well. Very strong woman, very progressive, wanted us to do well, but
Mm,
wanted us to be happy. So she never pushed us to do this or to do that. She was always behind us saying, I'm here, do what you need to, but I'm always there with you. And
mm,
that carried through right through her life. She's no more today, but I know she's watching from above. And, even when I was married, I had two kids. She stood by me when I wanted to do my MBA. She
mm,
and my mother in law, I should say. I mean, two very strong women. They stood behind me, helped me. I just had enough time to play with my kids. They would, along with my husband and my dad, they would take care of the kids. So come from a family that's always been very inspiring, always been there for me, and that's what's held me in good stead.
okay. So, is there any particular childhood memory, any incidents that you would specifically like to mention?
Sure, yeah. So my mom, she was not out there in the corporate world, but she was entrepreneurial. She did a lot of businesses staying at home. And one of the key things that she did was when data processing was not even something anyone understood,
Mm-hmm.
she got into that business, right? And she assembled a few women around her, and they went ahead and they were doing data processing at that stage. And that was a stage where I was just in I think I was about 17, 18, very, very, young age. And I would see that and I would think, this is what I want to be. I want to be someone who goes out and does things, who takes that initiative to go do things
Hmm.
that are totally unknown, things that are, and she was always like that. She would get in whether she knew it or not, and she'd say,
Hmm.
I figured it out. Let's figure it out,
Hmm.
and that was the spirit I wanted.
And I'm sure, these are actually things, little things which, like they influence us in ways that I don't think we comprehend at the time when they're happening to us,
Right.
because, right, they trigger something in us,
Absolutely.
which, like you said, holds us in good stead in later years. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I don't think I appreciated it just as much. Of course, I appreciated it, right? That's not the right word. But when I became a mom and of two girls, that's when I was like, okay, time to impart something that makes them strong individuals.
Yes.
And, that's when you start appreciating the kind of life you've had. and the kind
Absolutely.
of role models you've had throughout your life. And to be honest with you, growing up in a household like that, and then coming out and getting married and seeing my mother-in-law, who's an equally strong woman,
Mm-hmm.
who can actually. My daughter is now a trader in Morgan Stanley, and she just told me, "Mom, Grandma knows so much about trading that
Mm-hmm.
I wish she had the opportunities I have today." So very
Yeah.
strong women, but at the same time, very helpful. They've helped
Mm.
me shape my life.
Great, great. So tell us, as a child, what kind of dreams did you have? I mean, aspirations. I mean, what did you think you wanted to do when you grew up? I mean,
Sure.
anything? Yeah,
I'm going to give you the real version, right? I don't want to color it or anything. I mean,
definitely
I
not.
don't think in school, I want you to be an engineer. It's colored by everybody else. Either you did an engineering degree or medicine when I was growing up, and I wanted to do engineering. So it did start off that way. Slowly, it started morphing in my head. I wanted to do something where there is an impact around me. There is an impact to people that, yeah, I'm helping people. Things like that started forming in my head. But initially, when I started off, it was more about I want to do engineering. It was exciting.
Mm.
It was exciting to go do something. And we were, I think, in the eighth or ninth grade, we were introduced to computer science.
Okay.
It was too exciting. It was very new at that stage in India, so very exciting. And that was when I was like, I want to do this growing up. So
Uh,
I think that's kind of guided me along too.
okay. So that dream, coupled with your mother's encouragement and her spirit, I think it was a no-brainer that you would, of course, have a career and become financially independent. Correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was no doubt about that, right?
Yeah.
And I went to a very nice girls' school in Bangalore,
Mm-hmm.
where again, very, if you look at people coming out of that school, they were groomed to say, I know what I'm doing, right? And we were groomed to say, yes, we can, and yes, we will. And I think that was important.
Wonderful. Actually, that is all that you need in those years. So tell us,
Right. Right.
Padma, a little bit about what you do currently. I mean, what
Oh,
is your
absolutely.
profile or what is it that you do?
Sure. So I started this company. We started off initially with a technology services company where we did work with multiple customers on helping them with their go-to-market strategy, but especially as it relates to a developer ecosystem,
Okay.
with APIs and so on. And slowly we realized that what we were doing as services is something that can be productized. And my brother had come up with an innovative platform that, he was in the process of patenting. So we came together and we started this company called Fitty. And we went ahead and, patented the base solution, went out and started building up the platform. Today, we've started, in 2021, we hit the market with the product. Actually, 2022, we hit the market with the product. 2021 was when we started developing the product. And today we have quite a few customers, some marquee customers across the globe, and pretty large ones even in India.
Okay, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So, of course, getting into this space, you must have faced challenges along the way. And if you could elaborate on some of those, and also some of those challenges which you may have faced because of your gender, if there were any.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, I don't know so much about the gender issue,
Okay.
right? And I'll tell you why. Because I feel that any entrepreneur, man or woman, who
Mm-hmm.
starts off faces some headwinds, right?
Absolutely.
And those headwinds are, I mean, again, it's you're small, you're trying to put together a product, you're putting together a team. You're either going to go funding or you're going to say, okay, how do we start out this business with some kind of base capital? So we all face that. And I did face that. We took a decision to go ahead and invest. we had a successful technology services company, so we invested in this. We started it that way. And when we went out to raise, it was more about, okay, let's go and get those signals right. And we have phenomenal investors today. They stand by and make sure that we are successful. So great investors on the books.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did start off that way, right? Some of the headwinds we faced was more around, do we go and do a big fundraise? Do we not?
Mm-hmm.
um, and going out and trying different things, pivoting because some of the requirements do change along the way. So those were some of the headwinds. But thankfully, and by God's grace, I should say, we were able to convert those headwinds into tailwinds. And so today, I think what we face is, especially over the last 12 months, we've faced an enormous demand, just hitting the roof with our growth, and we've seen phenomenal growth over the past years, and that's thanks to thanks to all of our supporters, be it customers. We've had some phenomenal customers, great investors, and a wonderful team. I mean, couldn't have done it without them.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Teamwork, of course, is the key to anything that you want to do in life. I mean, the key to success. All right. So tell me something, though we've, progressed a lot. And of course, you see women in every sphere, in every space, making a name for themselves. But STEM is one space where still you do feel, that you don't have enough women. And
Right.
it's not only about India, I think it's a worldwide
Everywhere.
phenomenon.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that happens, and what can we do to kind of, encourage or push girls or change the way people think? What is it that we can do about it?
Yeah, I think things are changing for sure, right?
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
have seen, I mean, even if I go back to when I was in college, there was a lot more women who wanted to get into STEM and so on. And I think it's growing. But I think one of the major things that I've seen, I've actually mentored a few girls. My kids have gone out and worked with some inner city children in Bangalore. What we find is there's a sense of trying to figure out what's in it, right, from a career perspective.
yeah,
And we've seen that. I think one of the key areas where I would advise women, especially young girls, is stay the course. STEM is great,
hmm,
and stay the course. Have role models, right? And
sure,
if you start reading about people who've done well, and coming from your circumstance, coming from your kind of situation, I think those are things that really hold good. The other thing is mentorship. There's not enough said about mentorship, especially when it comes to young women,
yeah,
and I think it's something that I encourage every woman to do.
mm,
And
mm,
they and get yourself a coach. I don't mean to say that you have to go and procure a coach. It
yeah,
can be your mother, it can be your aunt, it can be your boss, it can be anybody in your vicinity
mhm,
who can help you, who can guide you along the way. And I think those are important steps to take as a woman, or even as a boy getting into a career, right? So those are things you need, and you need to lay out a path for yourself and literally, I think you need an end goal, right? So
yeah,
understanding where this path is leading, what are the pivots that you need to do, what is the learning that you need to do along the way.
yeah.
Those are things that are important, and
And I
this
think
continuous learning,
absolutely,
um,
absolutely agree.
that is
And I think on our part, women, who have reached a certain stage and age, we can kind of reach out like what you're doing and mentor and talk to these girls and, encourage. I think that
yeah,
is also required because all these
absolutely.
stereotypes that are there that women can't get into STEM or it is tough for them, whatever it is that bothers these young girls. I think, women like you, what we're doing currently now is also the same thing that we can reach out and kind of tell them that these
Absolutely.
are all myths. These are not things that you really need to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have that. strength of character, have that strength in yourself, belief in yourself, right?
Yes, yes.
That is very important. I think that, whatever path, whatever career path you choose,
Yeah,
believing in yourself is very important.
absolutely. I agree. I agree. So tell me, Padma, of course, we are humans. We are, of course, if, doing what we want to do. We have our career paths and all of that, but not every day is the same. And we
Oh,
do have
absolutely.
ups and downs, in life. So how do you cope with those, and how do you kind of get out of a situation which is like, you know, uninspiring, demotivating on a particular day?
Yeah, and especially as an entrepreneur, I've faced more of those days
Okay.
than I care to remember. But yes, I think the major thing is to have a sense of belief, and I really do you know take this very seriously, right? Where I have a sense of belief that what I'm doing is something that I believe in,
Yeah.
something that I know is going to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not looking, I don't have these unicorn kind of goals or anything of the sort. If it happens, it happens, right? I
Hmm.
believe that what I'm doing has an impact, and I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it, right? So that kind of leads me on. I think in terms of stress relief, I do a lot of meditation. I every day there is a set time I do sit down and do my meditation. It's in
Okay.
the form of prayers, but I do that, and that kind of grounds me too. It doesn't get me too high, too low.
Yeah.
Keeps me
Yeah.
completely at a plane. The other thing is I spend enough time with my family, make it a point to call my kids every day. Of course, my brother and I work together, so we spend a lot of time talking together. My
Hmm.
husband, the family, my dad is here. So we spend a lot of time as a family as well. And I think that's important. So having, I would say for anybody, understanding what is it that helps you de-stress is an
Yes.
important aspect. And you need that routine in order to do that.
You're right. You need to figure out what is it that kind of de-stresses you and, takes your mind away from whatever is bothering you. It could be taking a walk, it could be listening to
Oh,
music, it could
absolutely.
be reading a book, it could be just about anything. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So another thing, of course, you have lived a life far away from India, and of course, settling into a new country and all of those things. So, any particular life lessons, any particular, things that you would like to talk about in terms of
Oh,
what has
absolutely.
taught you? Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that comes to my mind when you talk about that is, in I think it was around 2010, I was working in Cisco, and I had a territory that covered. I lived in Singapore for about 4 years at that time, and I had a territory that covered Asia Pacific, Japan, and China as a theater.
Hmm.
And every country I went to, I learned something new. I was in sales at that time, right? So we were selling to all of these countries, but then uh, it wasn't just on a professional level, but even on a cultural level. Every country I went to, every country that was part of my territory, I learned something new. Every team member that I interacted with, I learned something new. And it was a huge learning experience for me. It
Hmm.
was a very successful stint professionally, but even on a personal level, I think I grew, in this job. And I think, there were things like understanding what it was to dress a certain way in a certain country, how to respect your host, and reciprocate what they were showing you. So things like that, small things, but it made a big difference to me. So that's one thing that really stood out in my head. The other thing is, in I think about 3 summers ago, my kids were in high school. Every summer for about 3 years, they came and they were volunteering in an inner city school in Bangalore,
Okay.
and I mean, along with 4 other friends, not all of them from Bangalore or not all of them from India even. So
Mm-hmm.
I was taking care of all these girls, they were all staying together with me.
Okay.
And I had this huge sense of responsibility. So I'd go out there and volunteer with them whenever I could, or sit back and listen to what they were talking about. And that was such a learning experience. The first day, my daughter, they did live a life of privilege. So we wanted them to go out there and understand that not everything is, not everyone is as privileged. So
True.
she came back and she said, Mom, they come to school because they want to eat. And that
Oh,
broke all our hearts, right?
sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, things like that. That we did go back and we helped build a digital library in that school. It was
Okay.
such a learning experience for not just the kids, but all of us.
Yeah.
So those things stay with me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. These are actually life-changing experiences because I think somewhere we get used to a particular way of living, a particular style of living, and we get so caught up in the mundane that we
Right.
just, lose sight of these other people who are leading lives which are completely different from ours and which, like you said, are not as privileged as ours. So, yes, these can be great eye openers, and somewhere our kids need to know about this. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Padma, of course, we spoke about STEM and how girls can be encouraged to follow their hearts if that is where the hearts lie.
Mhm.
But otherwise, for young girls, I mean, you have daughters of your own. What would you like to advise them? Young girls who are right now exploring, they're on the threshold of their personal and professional lives. What would you like them to keep in mind going forward?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is try try new things. If you have a certain passion, do not be scared to follow it, right?
Hmm.
We live in an age where anything is possible. You can reach success with anything there, as long as you have your heart in it and you put in the effort. So I would say, do not get scared to try new things. Go try new things. Convert
Yeah.
every failure into a learning experience, right? We're never taught that. We are sometimes we are scared of failures. There is
Yeah.
nothing to be scared of failures. We all fail. Every person, every individual in this world fails somewhere or the other. So
Right.
it is about taking those failures and understanding and learning from those failures and moving on, and being resilient, understanding your own self. Spend enough time to understand yourself and bring out that inner strength within you. And I think that is important for every person.
Yeah.
And remove this hesitation. I've interacted with a lot of young girls who
Hmm.
sometimes have this inhibition, right? This, am I right or am I wrong? Do
Yeah.
not question yourself. Do not doubt yourself. Go out there and do what you think is right. And it's not just about girls, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have daughters who've had, who have friends, both men and women,
Hmm.
and they all come and stay with us. I had last year over Christmas, we had about 6, 7 kids come and stay with us, boys, girls. And I see this in all of them, this fear of, oh, if I try this, what if I fail? And I've
Yeah.
been telling them, no, it's okay, fail, it's fine. You learn from it. So I think that is important for anybody.
Yeah, great things actually come out of failures because those are
Exactly.
huge lessons. I mean, successes don't teach you as much. They probably teach you how to bask in their glory. But
Exactly.
if you haven't failed in life, then I don't think, you really got those very critical life lessons. Yes, you're right.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, yeah. So, Padma, of course, there's in a world in which we live, women are, like I said, making a name for themselves wherever they're going. So, do you think people, and of course, here I'm talking of both men and women, do they react differently to successful women as compared to how they would react to successful men?
Again, I've just been fortunate, right? I've not seen too much of a difference in that sense. People
Okay.
have been appreciative. I also think it depends on yourself, right? It depends on how you interact with people and what kind of an aura you project.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've never cared about another's opinion, right? And I say this, even as a kid, I was told, do not look at another person. You are a different individual. They are different people, right?
Hmm.
Do not compare. It's you yourself that you have to compare with, not anybody outside.
Absolutely. Very
And
well.
so I think I have that in me, that it doesn't matter to me. I'm not seeking validation outside. It is validation inside. So I feel that I've not given too much thought to what people say or do around me in that sense. But I've had great supporters, Sangeeta. God, I couldn't have come wherever I am without those kind of supporters, both men and women, right? Right
Hmm.
from my husband, who, as I told you, I did my MBA when I had two little kids, right? 2 years and 5 years. My parents would come 6 months, my mother-in-law would come 6 months, my husband would take care of the kids, drop them in daycare for many, many years. For this, actually, those 2 years, I don't think I saw their daycare even once, right? So
Hmm.
things like that, where they really supported me. And today in my entrepreneurial journey, be it my brother, my, my in-laws, my dad, it doesn't matter who, right? I've always had support. And of course, my investors, and team. I have actually three wonderful investors who are always there with me, who supported me. So I think they've always been that support, and I've learned to be grateful rather than think through, you know, is someone looking at me a different way? I'm sure there are people,
Yeah.
judging me
Yeah.
for who I am, but it doesn't bother me.
The world is full of all kinds of people. You choose to
Exactly.
focus on what you want. And I think that's a positive kind of mindset that we need to have. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, there's a observation which I think you also must have made and seen people do that. What I call the midlife rebooting. A lot of us out there in their 40s and maybe sometimes 50s as well are switching to careers and passions which they probably had not thought of, or even if they had thought of early on in their lives, they were not able to pursue them. But now there's so many of us who are doing different things. We may be doing
Yeah.
what we had set out to do, so maybe the other things could be side hustles, or we may have completely let go of what we were doing earlier to pick up other kinds of things. So what do you have to say? This is a midlife crisis, or I mean, how do you describe that?
Maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, I did the same, right? I was very happy in my corporate job, by the way. I mean, if someone had spoken to me about 5, 6 years, not 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, and told me, "Hey, you could do, you could go and start off on your own," I would have
Mm,
laughed at them, right?
mm,
Because I was like, I was too happy in my corporate job.
mm,
Perks were great. I was in sales, so I was making good commissions, so very
yeah.
happy all around. But it was accidental, and I met a partner, I met a customer who was like, hey, you could do this. Yeah. And we were talking over dinner, and it was like, you could do this on your own. And then it became a little serious, a serious
Mm,
conversation. Then I started questioning myself, yes, I can do this on my own. Why am I not doing it? Right? Why
mm,
not try it? And my husband was like, okay, go try it. And it was at a point where actually, sometimes I think maybe I should have waited a couple of years. My
mm.
older daughter was just getting into college, and I was like, okay, I dropped my corporate job. I'm gonna start all my on my own. I mean, sometimes it feels crazy, right? And that's why I think maybe it's a midlife crisis. But I think it is a pivot, a midlife pivot, right? And I don't know if it is something that over the years, we gain confidence to. I've always analyzed this way, right?
Mhm.
Maybe after so many years in the corporate job, there was this confidence within me to say, yeah, I can do something on my own, and I think I have all the tools that are required to go to it, and that's why I felt confident. I mean, sometimes on the flip side, it feels. Maybe it was midlife crisis, but yeah, on the whole, I feel it was more the confidence within me coming out to do that midlife pivot. And maybe that's what it is for other women as well. We've spent enough
Yeah.
time, working, doing what we did, that we feel that we could go start something totally different.
See, I also feel, that earlier, also in earlier times, people did feel that, but maybe, there wasn't so much of awareness, or there wasn't, so much of, how would I say, financial ability also, in the sense now, I guess,
True.
we look at
True.
our parents, then whatever
Yeah.
they picked up to do. So if there was a banker, he continued to be a banker all his life. And even if they had interests and passions, they were on the side. But right now, I think because of awareness also, there's so much happening around us. So that's a huge amount of inspiration. Because when you
Correct.
see that
Correct.
other people doing it, you also, that adds to your confidence.
Yeah.
So not only are you confident about your ability, but you also, I think, feel that yes, if others can do it, I can also give it a try. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you touched a very good point, which is on the financial side, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we are in that way, we are a fortunate generation, right?
Yeah.
We did gain some kind of financial ability to say it's okay. Yeah, the kids are going to college. Fine, we have something with which we can, you know, we can fund that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll try it out. We'll try something new.
Correct.
I think that's what gave us that strength too.
Hmm. Hmm. Right, right, right. Okay, so as a woman, we are constantly juggling different balls, different roles, because we have multiple roles to play. And no, I mean, no matter what
Absolutely.
we do. So, is there any particular any tips that you would share with us? Any tricks that you have learned over a period of time how
Yeah.
to juggle? So, could you share those with us?
Sure. And I'll give you a classic example. I think my productivity actually went up after I had kids. I mean, it may sound totally different, right? But
Mm-hmm.
uh, I feel that before I had kids, I would waste that time. I would come back home, and I remember my husband and I, am not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but we'd sit and watch Friends. We'd have a nice time going out, having fun, stuff like that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I decided to write my GMAT when I didn't know that at that time, but I was pregnant with my second kid.
Okay.
And I had my first kid. She was like 2.5 years old, and that changed the time management skills for me. I'd get up early in the morning, 4:30. I wanted to be there when she was awake, right? When she
Yeah.
woke up,
Yeah.
I wanted to be there with her. So that changed me as a person. I became more, more efficient about time. I became
Yeah.
more, if I needed to spend about 6 hours earlier on a job, I knew how to get it done in 4, because hey, I want to be with that baby I created,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I think my kids changed me in that sense for the better.
Okay.
And I absolutely, I think that's one of the key things that helped me along the way. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, I cannot minimize the fact that I have a very sporting husband, very encouraging,
Mm-hmm.
always egging me on to go try new things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm fortunate that way. And also, yes, my parents, my brother, they were always supportive, but it's uh, for women especially, it's
Yeah.
the family that you marry into can
Yes.
make or
Yes.
break it.
Yeah.
And I
I
was very
agree.
fortunate. I have a mother-in-law who would say, in the morning I'd come down and say, Mom, shall I make the breakfast? And she'd be like, have you finished studying? Go study. I'll do this. So can
Mm-hmm.
never forget that.
That's huge. Yes, that's
Yeah.
huge. And like you said, of course, when you're thrown into the deep sea, that's when you learn how to swim. So when your children come and you have more responsibilities, that's when you start looking at prioritizing your life, time management, all of those things. Because I think before that, if you don't feel the need, you don't do it. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all of us.
That's huge. Yeah.
So Padma, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Completely in a philanthropic role. And
What?
I don't mean to say this because it's a podcast. I'm done making money. I'm like, I want to retire
Uh-huh.
at some stage, but I want to do something that feels good
Okay.
this time, right? And I do want to do more towards girls' education, very passionate about that. We do work very closely with a couple of organizations.
Wonderful. Okay.
So I don't know in what capacity, but I probably will go out and start helping them more than I'm doing today.
That's wonderful, actually. And we need all the help in this space that we can get, because whatever
Right.
said and done, I think a lot of mentorship, a lot of encouragement is needed. Girls need to get that. And
Yeah.
there's so many, because I think we are at a stage where a lot of girls are confused also, because there are different parts of their lives pulling them in different directions. So somewhere somebody who's like, I mean, our age group can tell them, how to prioritize or what to prioritize, or at least, share a few tips. I think that
Right.
is something very, very essential. All right.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Padma, can a woman have it all?
Absolutely. Why not? I think anybody can have it all. All
Yes.
you need to know, all you need to do is believe that you can have it all.
Yes,
Right.
I agree.
And that's all that is important. Believe in yourself and have that belief in and again, I don't want to sound religious or anything, but
Hmm.
have that belief in the universe
Yes.
and what it does to you, right? Whatever
Manifest.
you want to call the universe,
Yes.
have that belief that there's something there guiding you, and I think it will guide you.
Great. Great. So, Padma, that is it. And this was all that we wanted to talk about. It was absolutely wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you.
I think we need more women like you who are not only following their heart and passion, but also encouraging other girls. Because I think, that giving back is so very critical. You can't always be a taker. At some point, you have to become a giver as well. So, thank you
Yeah.
so much. It was indeed wonderful having you on the podcast. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sangeeta. I enjoyed it as well, and I appreciate you inviting me to this.
I'm
Good
glad.
luck to you and all success to what you set out to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.